Yara badmouthed Jovi's mom and was being so rude to her on last night's episode of 90 Day Fiance. Guys, what is up? 90 Day Fiance was in fact on last night, and oh my god, we were in for a literal Christmas treat. It was so good. Starting off with Jovi and Yara. Holy crap. This girl, I don't care what anyone says, she is just flat out rude, and last night just completely confirmed my thoughts that she is a rude you-know-what, because her and Jovi went over to his mom's house. I don't know, the dad was supposedly working, so he was not there, but they went and seen the mom in the bayou, and yeah, Yara, she complained and complained and complained. The first thing they got in there, it was just awkward. She doesn't seem like she's very expressive and loving and nice, even, shall I say, because they walk in the door, Jovi's like, hey mom, here's Yara, and even the introduction was kind of like awkward, because this was the first time that they had ever met face to face, and Yara's like, hi, and the mom's like, hi, and I'm sitting here over there like screaming, holy crap, this is awkward. So it was very awkward, very tense. They were kind of trying to talk, and honestly, Jovi's mom seems nice. She just wants what's best for her son. At least that's what I thought. Comment below if you don't agree, but that's how it appears. And so she was kind of asking questions about marriage and how they are together and blah, blah, blah. And Yara was like getting offended, but I did not think personally that the questions were that bad. And then, the worst thing honestly is you never should offend a woman or a mom's cooking. You never should offend anyone's cooking. But of course, Yara, she offended Jovi's mom's cooking because, Jovi's mom, out of the kindness of her heart, made some Bayou, Louisiana stew thing that I have never, ever, ever, ever seen. And of course, Yara was picking and pretending to eat it, kind of. And then they go back in the bedroom at the end of the episode and she goes, yeah, by the way, what your mom made, it was disgusting. It had no flavor. It had no taste. And I'm watching this thinking, what is wrong with you? I mean, at the very maximum, you could say, hey, I thought it was pretty good, but it just wasn't my favorite thing in the world. To be a little more polite. But instead, she just goes on and on and on. So yeah, Yara, she is heartless. She is rude. And she completely, totally badmouthed Joey's mom. And the worst, well, maybe not as bad as the food thing, but what was really rude too is Jovi's mom does want to have somewhat of a little wedding party or a ceremony or something, and Yara said, no, 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 no. If my family can't be there, then, your family can't be there either, so let's go to Vegas and get married alone, and then, that is it. But, Jovi's mom was like, well, what if we had a little wedding party, just something with our side of the family? And of course, Yara was not giving in. She was not interested in doing it at all. So, once again, heartless, rude, and I'm just like watching this thinking, Jovi, you're not the worst looking guy in the world. Why don't you go meet someone else? Because Yara, not only is she just so heartless and rude, it appears. Now, don't get mad at me if you like her. I'm just saying, so far what I've seen, she definitely seems to complain a lot and she seems to be rude. Okay, not only is she rude, she's not the cutest girl in the world. Like, she's definitely attractive, but come on, she's got a freaking, whole inch of makeup on her face and this, that, and the other. I mean, come on. And she is good looking, I guess, but it's still like her personality, in my opinion, completely ruins her looks. So Jovi and Yara were not off to a good start with them. More on them in a couple seconds. Now I want to go on to a new couple. This is kind of a touchy subject. Let me first introduce them. Boom, right there. That is Andrew and Amira. At first glance, okay, Andrew looks a little bit raggedy. He's got the beard, long hair, but he looks pretty good, so you could say. Amira, she looks pretty, she looks cute, they look fine. Okay, Andrew is from California, Amira is from France, but the more we see them, the more I'm biting my nails thinking, oh my god, this does not add up. Like, this seems so weird. So here is the scoop. Like I said, he's from California. He works at his mom's daycare center. Now, I'm trying to wrap my head to see if this is really weird. I know men probably typically don't work at a daycare center, but I don't think it's like a wrong or a weird thing for a man, if he's a good, normal, man, to work at a daycare center. And he had a legitimate reason, because he was thinking that, hey, it's a good thing for a little kid to have a, strong male influence in their life. I agree. I don't think that's a wrong thing. But I could see how people might kind of say, geez, that's kind of weird because typically, not always, but maybe mostly typically, it's kind of more of a job that you'd see a girl. You know, you wouldn't really see a fully grown man with a gigantic beard reading kids, a kid book or something. It just kind of didn't seem right, but I'm not judging just yet. The thing I am going to kind of judge on is the fact that Andrew seems very eccentric, and he has a Dr. Seuss hat on and a rainbow gown and a Batman cape on, and he seems very eccentric. And then we flash forward over to Amira, and she's like Miss Makeup. You know, she's got her glammed up, and she's all dolled up with the hair and the makeup and the lips and the this and the that. And I'm like, I just don't understand how it's like, you know, trying to pair Dr. Seuss with like Kim Kardashian. They just don't seem to mesh. So I'm watching this thinking, what are these two doing together? But they met online, they met on an international dating site, of course. And then, you know, of course, they fell in love. They were talking every second of every day. And then I guess Amira got a travel license to come to America because she flew over to Vegas. They met. And after 3 days, he got down on one knee and said, Amira, I love you dearly. Will you marry me? And she said yes. So now they are kind of engaged, I guess. And she finally, after 1 whole year of them waiting, she got approved for the K-1 visa, but the craziness started happening around the world, and America was shut down on lockdown at that time of filming, and so she technically could not fly into the States. So her man, who must love her dearly, came up with this weird little loophole as if, you know, what if you flew into Mexico and we quarantine for 14 days and then we come into California, probably drive into California, and everything's sunshine and rainbow. So that is their plan. I'm still watching this thinking, what are these two doing together? We got to see Amira's dad, and he completely hates Andrew to the point where I'm starting to think like, okay, there must be more to this story. This guy seems to be all sunshine, rainbows, happiness, you know, Romeo, Juliet. He's ready to fight for this love. But the way I heard her dad talk, he was talking about how he makes her cry and how this, that, and the other. It's telling my gut that, okay, there's probably more going on that Andrew has not mentioned and that Amira has yet to mention. I don't know what, but maybe there was some scandalous stuff going on. I don't really know, but it just seemed like either the dad is, number one, really judgmental, or something Andrew did. Like, Andrew did something. So we're going to have to wait and see, but we did get to see that Amira does go on the plane to go to Mexico to then quarantine, and Andrew's also going that way too, but it looks like something happens to Amira. I don't know what. If I had to guess, I feel like she gets to Mexico and then they say, no, you can't leave. You have to stay here for 14 days with us, or something weird happens where she has to go in somewhat of a center or something for 14 days to quarantine on her own. And I think she kind of thought she could just quarantine with Andrew at the hotel, and I don't think that's going to be the case. So yeah, it is a messy situation, and it looks like something really horrible happens once they get to Mexico, but we're gonna have to wait and see. And also, you know, please put in the comments below. I could be wrong. This is just what my gut is telling me about these two. I feel like they're not maybe the best match, but I could be totally wrong. I will say, even though, you know, Andrew is kind of that bubbly personality, he has kind of a nerdy-ish personality. Nothing wrong with that, but he also seems to be like really confident. So maybe Amira just loves his confidence and how he just does whatever he wants, and he, you know, goes by the beat of his own drum. I don't know, but my gut is kind of telling me that she's just using him to come to the States. So definitely put in the comments below what you think of those two. Now let's go over to, you know, like the infamous couple of the season already, and that is Brandon and Julia. Now, they were a little more quiet, kind of, in this episode. They've been like the main event for all the other episodes, but this episode, they woke up in Washington, D.C. They were all gung-ho and happy and sunshine and rainbows, kind of. But the issue was still that Brandon's mom does not want them to be together in a romantic fashion without being very protective. And, you know, and then she wants them also in separate rooms when they are back in their house. I just feel like, hey, she is allowed to have her own rules, the mom and the dad, in their house. But it's like they're 28 years old, 27 years old. Move out, leave. Then you can have your own rules and do whatever you want, wherever you want, in any room, using whatever you want, if you know what I mean, or not using whatever you want. So it's just like this stupid ongoing trend of they're gonna fight, and Julia basically just screamed at Brandon that, you know, I'm gonna leave. She pretty much told the guy, I will leave if we cannot, I guess if we have to stay in separate rooms, I will leave. That's what she said. I feel like that's kind of dramatic because it's like they're not planning on living with his parents forever. So if I was Brandon, I would just pick up and say, well, we have to try to get a different living situation. I don't know what that means. Maybe go get a roommate. Maybe, you know, I don't know. But it's like, you can't live with your mom and dad anymore if you're 28 years old and you want to have your own rules. That's it. Done deal. Of course, Brandon's mom, you know, so then after Julia went to Brandon and basically said that she will leave, well, Brandon kind of freaked out and went to his mom, and then, you know, he told her, and it's just an ongoing cycle trend of the mom just saying no, and the mom was kind of getting a little graphic and weird and talking about things that you probably wouldn't really want to talk about with your mother, and she was going on and on and on, and it was completely disgusting. So I don't know why, honestly, they won't move out, and their reasoning for not moving out is the financial situation, but can't you just scrape something together for a couple $100 a month? I mean, they live in, like, you know, a freaking farm town of Virginia. I doubt the rent's that expensive. Like, just try to maybe get a roommate, try to, you know, do something and move out. But I don't know if they stay. I don't know what happens, but I do kind of feel like, sadly, which I don't really think this is going to be entertaining, but I do feel like this ongoing trend of Brandon and Julia fighting about his parents is going to be all season long. And I think it's going to actually come down to him having to pick his parents or pick Julia, which just sounds so stupid, but that's what it kind of appears to be with the preview. So more on them later. Now let's go over to Mike and Natalie. And another couple, not good. Now this kind of goes back to the Yara and Jovi situation because we have another lady with Natalie, and I'm sorry if you guys like her, I don't want to offend you guys, but we have another lady with her where it's like, you know what, she is just ungrateful, and if I was Mike, I would say, okay, there's the door, there's the nearest airport, you can go back to Ukraine and never talk to me ever again after what she did. Because not only did she make, you know, Mike kick out his Uncle Bo, who's really actually his cousin, and I get it, the guy is out there, he actually doesn't have the best, you know, track record, so I do kind of somewhat get that, and she explained her reasoning. It was pretty much just that I don't think she really liked the guy, and she didn't feel comfortable, and she wanted to just live with Mike. That was basically her reasoning. So, not the nicest thing, but whatever. Moving on, she ended up meeting Uncle Bo. It was kind of awkward. I think she honestly looks at herself as being kind of more of a civilized, higher class citizen, and I think she saw Uncle Bo as kind of a lowlife. That's how I saw it, but she was trying to be polite, blah, 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 whatever. Then they end up leaving Seattle and going over to Mike's house, which is in an incredibly small town, and the house, I thought it was actually a lot bigger. It wasn't a freaking mansion by any means. It was just a, you know, I don't even know, a smaller-ish house. Not a dump, nothing wrong, not dirty, it was just a little bit of a smaller house. But Natalie got there and oh my God, I mean, you couldn't have been any more ungrateful. The only person that's a little bit more ungrateful this season is Yara. But Natalie got there, and she was just like literally speechless when Michael asked her, hey, you know, what do you think of it? And he was still kind of happy, like, you know, hey, what do you think? He thought she was going to be all like, I love it. She was just like, oh my God, let me process this. Like, she was literally having a panic attack. She hated the house so much. And I watched it and I thought seriously, one thing, and I think a lot of you guys probably thought the same thing. Did you guys ever hear of FaceTime? There is this thing called a FaceTime. It's on most iPhones and Androids and laptops where you can show someone where you're at. So I'm just like, why did they not FaceTime and give her a virtual house tour before coming all the way over here? I don't know if they did or if they didn't, and if they didn't, why they didn't, but it's like, you ever hear of something called FaceTime? And if he did FaceTime her and show her the house, Natalie, you can do one thing and one thing only. shut up, because it's like, it's a house that he's letting you live in for free, and he's like practically calling it our house, and this, that, and the other, and he's being welcoming, and he's being opening, and he already kicked out his freaking Uncle Bo on the street corner for you, so it's like, be grateful. But she's walking around having a literal panic attack because this house is so small, and I guess so cold. Now, the cold thing, I hate cold too, but I guess Ukraine, they get mounds and mounds of snow too, so I don't know what she's really complaining about, but yeah, I am just like, oh my goodness God, Natalie, you better shut up. And I don't think she gets any happier anytime soon, because it sounds like when we saw in the preview that, Mike showed her around the town, and that lasted about 13 seconds because the town's about this big, which once again, FaceTime and Google. You ever hear of Google? Go on Google Images. There's a thing in this universe that has it in all countries called Google Images. You type in a town, you press the image button, and you can look at how big the town is, the population, what the stores look like. But of course, I don't know if Natalie just wanted a surprise, but it looks like Mike shows her around and she's crying and she's mad and she's sad and she's freaking out, and she's like, how are we gonna, discover this town and check out the town if we can check it out in 36 minutes because it is so small? But I'm still, once again, did you not know you were going to a small town? Did you think you were going to a big town? And yet again, have you ever heard of Google Images / Skype and FaceTime? So I don't know. Natalie was really annoying me last night. Same thing with Yara. It's just like, why are you guys so stuck up? Why did you guys think you were going to go move into some gigantic mansion? And while we are talking about just weird, bizarre, random situations, let's go over to Tariq and Hazel, because this is probably one of the weirdest, randomest, just most bizarre situations I have seen on 90 Day Fiancé in a long time. Now, at the surface, attraction levels, they're pretty much equal. They look good together, kind of. He seems like a really nice guy, kind of hilarious. More on Tariq in a minute, because Tariq actually brought up his Dean situation, Dean being his brother, and I think that was kind of a lie. So more on that in a minute. But they look solid together. But once you really see these two together, I was at least thinking, why are they, 100%, they are not together for the right reasons. I think Reek is just settling because he wants to have a lady, and I think Hazel, she 100% wants to just come to America, and I think she is 100% not interested in Reek, and I think she is likely, she's even admitted it, she's more interested in ladies. I do not think she's honestly even interested in guys. I don't want to say yes or no. That is for her to say. She has come out and said that she's interested in men and women, but it really does not seem like she has any attraction or interest in Dean. But not Dean. God, I'm an idiot. Not Dean. Sorry, that is his brother. In Tariq. My names are all slipping and sliding. But what I wanted to talk about was actually Dean and Tariq. That's why I brought it up. Because if you guys don't know, about a year or so, maybe last February, Dean and Reek got into a big old fight on social media, and Dean ended up actually going over to the Philippines because he met a lady. Now, Reek shared a side to the story because one of his friends asked him, hey, is Dean going to go to the wedding? And of course, he was just screaming, no, he's not going to be there. But what Reek shared was basically that when him and Hazel got together, Dean, his brother, was very careful and wordy and poking and just being really rude to him and Hazel. That's what he shared. But then after everything went down, he ended up being a little more open, and then Dean ended up meeting a woman in the Philippines. That was Reek's side of the story. But from what I heard, that's completely fake and forged and not true. What I believe actually happened was they were on Pillow Talk together. Dean thought he was a comedian. He thought it was real funny, which he kind of was funny. So was Reek, but they were going head to head. It was just kind of a competition thing, and something happened either with airtime or someone wanted to talk more or maybe even salary, and Reek was just like, I deserve whatever it was, more airtime, more money, whatever it was, because I got you on this show through Hazel. You had nothing to do with the show before me. It was because of me. And so he was like, I deserve the more of whatever it was. And of course, Dean wanted, I think it was more airtime, or maybe he thought he was funnier. I don't really know for sure, but they got into a fight about Pillow Talk and who was funnier, more famous, blah, blah, blah. And then he ended up also meeting a woman in the Philippines, and he went over to the Philippines. But the fighting was about the Pillow Talk. That's what I heard. But Tariq told a totally different story, that the fighting was about how he was a hypocrite and all this crap. I really do not think that was true. So yeah, Reek told this story. I think it was a complete freaking lie. The one thing I will say though, and I wish I could repost videos on this channel, I don't think I can. I think honestly it's a YouTube copyright thing, so I don't even really bother, but oh my god, there was one scene from last night's episode that was so funny because it was a flashback of when Dean found out, not Dean, oh my god, when Reek found out that Dean moved to the Philippines with a woman over in the Philippines. Somehow there was a camera on Reek and it was the funniest thing because, you know, he was FaceTiming with Dean and then Dean was like, you know, hey, I'm over here in the Philippines. And then, you know, and then I think Reek kind of said something back and they started to kind of scream at each other and Dean was like, well, what do you want me to do? And Reek went crazy. He was screaming about, you better give me some respect or something. It was seriously one of the funniest things I have seen on this new season of 90 Day Fiance, and oh my god, I wish I could take a little video of it and show you guys. But if you did see, you know what I'm talking about, please comment below because I thought it was hilarious and totally over dramatic. Well, that was about it for the 5 or so couples we got to see. There are, I believe, 7 couples in total. We did not see Rebecca and Ziad, and honestly, kind of between you and me, thank God, I'm not a huge fan of those two. And then there is one last couple named Stephanie and Ryan. Stephanie, of course, is like the David and Lana of this season, and Stephanie's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So great. Another good old Michiganders. Usually the Michiganders are the smart, sophisticated, the nice bunch of the crew, but this Stephanie lady, oh my god, she just looks like a complete embarrassment. So we did not see those 2 couples. We're gonna have to wait and see, but y'all, we talked about, wow, a lot of different moving parts. I know I mentioned a million different things, but if you have anything that stuck out to you, please comment below. My main curiosity is honestly with Andrew and Amira. You know, Andrew did follow me. I don't know if I should say that, but he did follow me. He did message me something nice, so I don't want to be all like, buddy. I don't know the guy. We literally shared one. I just said, thank you. That was it. So it wasn't like we're buddy at all. I'm just speaking from my heart, speaking from my 2 own eyes. That's how it seemed, that they're not really the best couple, but maybe once we see them together, they're a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know. It's a little bit too early, but definitely if you guys have a gut feeling or anything you want to share, put in the comments below. Well guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit the comments below, hit the subscribe button, and y'all better stay tuned for many more videos.